Hi everyone, thanks for joining me. Today I'm in the village of Stowrpane, which is just north of Blandford in Dorset, and I'm going to go on a relatively short walk today, but taking a couple of the local hills in the area. So from here, first of all, I'm going to go to Hod Hill, which is an Iron Age hill fort, and then drop down into the valley and climb then back up along Hambledon Hill, which you get some fantastic views out over the Stour Valley. And then from there I'm going to drop down through the edge of Shroton or Iwan, Courtney, I don't know how you pronounce that, and then back towards Stowrpane. I think it's not that far, it's probably only 6.5, 7 miles tops, but as I say, it's got a couple of half decent hills to climb. For those of you perhaps viewing from outside the UK, we've had a hell of a lot of rain the last few months, and so everywhere is saturated, very soggy ground. Thankfully, we've had a couple of dry days now, so I'm hoping it's not going to be too bad, but the route may depend a little bit on conditions underfoot as to where I go exactly. But on the drive down here, it didn't look too flooded, so hopefully we should be all right. Anyway, let's see how we get on. So here I am on top of Hod Hill, which is an old Iron Age hill fort. It's part of a chain of hill forts that starts at Hambledon Hill, then this one, and they carry on down all the way to the coast down at Hengropsbury Head, Hengropsbury Old Iron Age Harbour. I can't remember, I think there's 4 or 5 of them in total. Can't remember all their names, I'm afraid. But yeah, as you can see, this is just sort of an open area, and then you've got the ditches, the banks, a ditch and then another bank as your sort of ramparts, defensive lines. And then we've got a fantastic view down the Stour Valley towards Blandford, and then over towards I've forgotten the name of the woods over there. Yeah, can't remember off the top of my head. I'll put it up on the screen. Anyway, we're going to carry on round, or actually straight through the middle of this fort. So we're on top of this hill fort, and obviously at some stage it looks like they had, I don't know whether they're buildings or whatever, because you've got separate ditches within the main sort of hill fort area, and sort of these ones are rectangular shaped, as if there was some building or something in here beforehand. It's quite interesting. Obviously I'm no archaeologist or historian, but you know, this is man-made, this isn't accidental. Anyway, looking down over the top, you've now got a view down towards Stepleton House. Excuse the wind noise, it's suddenly got very windy. Right down there, which is a grade 1 listed building. I think it's private residence, don't know much about it, but quite a nice setting anyway. Gives you some idea of how steep these ditches are. I'll show up quite so well with the shade, but that over there is where we're going to be climbing up in a while, and then up over that ridge over there in the distance. This is thankfully, because we've had a bit of a frost, this isn't as bad as it could have been, because this is evidence of all the chalk that's gone into building these ramparts. But this would, if we hadn't had the frost, be an absolute skid pan. But thankfully it's toughened it up a bit, so it's not actually as bad as it could have been. Still got bits of chalk sticking to my boots, but nothing as bad as it would have been. But yeah, so you can see sort of the extent of some of these ramparts, how big they were and what went into building them. Just dropping down the valley now before we got the next climb. Oh, that hill was quite a bit steeper than it literally looked from the bottom. Over that, I'm so unfit, but although I put a few pounds on over Christmas, I don't think I've lost that much fitness. So yeah, it was actually quite a steep hill. Anyway, lovely views from up here now. I'm looking into the sun mostly, so spoilt slightly. And it's one of those sort of days, it's quite cold, it's only about 1 or 2 degrees. And then if you can see, it's one of those days where you get a permanent dew drip on the end of your nose. So I'm to blow my nose all the time. Which isn't pretty. Anyway, gorgeously sunny day, hardly a cloud in sight. Long may that continue. This is going to be fun. Complete, I don't know what it shows up, but yeah, ice and water. I've got to somehow get through that, and then it carries on up through here, quagmire again. Unfortunately, barbed wire fence, because otherwise I'd cheat and jump over that, but it's not an option, not without cutting yourself to shreds, so we'll have to find a way through this. Could be interesting. Just gonna have to retrace my steps. Suddenly realised I've lost my hat. I've got a bit warm climbing up the hill, so I put it in my pocket, and now I can't find it, so it's obviously fallen out somewhere. So I'm gonna have to go through all that muddy bit. Thankfully it actually wasn't as bad as it looked. It's still quite frozen, so hopefully it's down here somewhere. Ah, that's handy. Obviously got caught up on a bramble and ripped out my ear pocket, so didn't have to go walk too far. So here we are approaching Hambledon Hill Fort. Should get some fantastic views from the top of there. So here we are on Hambledon Hill. It's abundant in wildlife, archaeology, and it's got views for miles over the Blackmore Vale and Cranbourne Chase. It's an Iron Age hill fort, but actually parts of it go back to Neolithic periods apparently. And up above we've got ravens and kestrels. I've certainly seen some red kites this morning, and then there'll be not this time of year, but in the summer you've got cowslips and orchids and various things, butterflies, but obviously we're not going to see any of those this time of the year. Anyway, so that's all the research I could do and remember off the top of my head, but the things I do for you just to make sure that I can give you some information and learn it all off by heart. Okay, it's written on the sign. Right on the ridge line now, looking over towards Blandford Forest. I said I couldn't remember what it was called earlier, Blandford Forest. and then down into the Stour Valley. I think that's the village of Shillingston down there. And then as we pan round, we've got Child Oakford in the foreground, and then all the way to the end of Hambledon Hill, and then looking down the other side towards sort of general direction of Shaftesbury. I think Shaftesbury's up there on the hill, and then over obviously towards Cranbourne Chase, and I think that's Ewan Minster, I don't know how you pronounce it, where I've forgotten the name of the public school. There's quite a posh public school there, and then Shroton, where we're going to be going down, it's down there. That last little bit down there was a bit of a quagmire, so I apologise to the farmer. I had to step a few feet inside the crop margin just to get round it, because it was over ankle deep in icy water. Yeah, it was very cold on top, but now, so I put me sort of waterproof on to or wind cheater thing, but now I've got down the bottom, getting a bit warm again, so I'll take it off. Now we're on a bit of tarmac walking towards the village of Shroton, so a chance to dry your feet out, etc. We interrupt this programme to bring you breaking news. Reports are coming in the village of Shroton in Dorset that Andy was seen walking past a pub and making no attempt to go inside and have a drink. Unfortunately, the breaking news is correct. Like a lot of people this time of year, I'm going to try and do dry January. Drinking far too much recently, so yeah, chance to dry out for a month and save a few pennies. So this will be the only type of watering hole I'll be visiting in the next few weeks. Old-fashioned pump. Don't know if it works. I'll go. Chained up, so probably not. Anyway. Very pretty. we're just approaching or skirting round Hod Hill, and this is the part of the path or my walk today that I expect to be the boggiest, sort of on the underside of a steep hill like this, because these chalky outcrops is all the water drains through after all the heavy rain we've had, so any low ground on the side of a hill is generally quite boggy, so we'll have to wait and see how bad it gets. Oh dear. I'm in a field where allegedly there is a path, but it's a nightmare trying to work out exactly where it is, and I was staring at my map and sort of looked up with the sun shining directly in my face and thought, oh, that looks a bit of solid ground, so I walked through that. No, it wasn't solid ground. I'll show you. It was in fact a slurry pit, or not necessarily a slurry pit, but a pile of manure and rotting slurry. So I went up over the top of my boots into that. Yes, not great. Luckily, didn't quite go right over the top, so hopefully that'll wash off in a bit. But yeah, rather ripe. So now I've just got to try and find out where this alleged path is. It's not easy. Right, this is where I think the path is supposed to be, but I don't know if you can see. It's basically, as I suspected, a quagmire. In fact, there's even a stream running down the side of the field here. So wet, running water. So, I'm afraid, Mr. Farmer, I think I'm going to have to try and climb your electric fence. Try not to get myself electrocuted. And get onto that ground there. I'll see you go a bit further, but it is completely and utterly waterlogged. I haven't got wet feet yet. I don't particularly want to get wet feet, but I think if I carry along here for too much further, I will do. I've doubled back and retraced my steps, and I'm going to take the high road now up this track. Just waiting here a second because the shepherd's moving his sheep up there. I don't want to disturb him as he does it, so I'll just hang fire a minute. I'm glad I decided to come this top way. You might go see how waterlogged that field is down there. That's where I should have been walking. So I'm glad I didn't. Right, I'm back at the car now. Turned out to be, well, with all the, sorry, I'll turn me back away from the sun. With all the to-ing and fro-ing and having to change direction, etc., it's actually turned out to be just over 8.5 miles. And it's, what now is it, 2:30, so that was just about 4 hours that took. How did I think? Yeah, it was a great walk actually. I mean, it was boggy in places, which is what I expected, but nothing too horrendous. Let's say that last little bit, obviously I diverted, that would have been quite bad, but there was an alternative route, so that wasn't an issue. And now boots are not too bad at all. Yeah, all in all, really enjoyable. Weather stayed fine, so I'll definitely do that one again. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you again next time. Bye.